Alright, Vic, buddy, are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Alright, welcome everybody to Dota Battles Week 2. This is Prime versus Planet Hype. I am so many robots, joined by Vic on the casting team. We're going to launch right into the draft, which we're not going to have a ton of time with because it's Captain's Draft. So, Vic, if you want to go over the hero pool a little bit as the team get right into it with the bans.
Yeah, sure. Just quick reactions. The first thing we see is this is a pretty low number of supports in the pool. We see Disruptor, Rubik, Witch Doctor, Venomancer, Elder Titan, and Undying is your more common supports. So I would watch out for early support picks and maybe a support ban or two.
Yeah, we already see that Disruptor ban coming out. I'm wondering if we're going to be in for a very long game. We've got some very hard carries, the Sven, the Gyro, the PL, the AM, all in, and none of them banned out yet.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to direct your attention to what could possibly be mid laners. We have Zeus as one of the only mid lane, typical mid lane heroes in the pool right now. We could see Elder Titan, Timbersaw, maybe even Batrider in that lane. So that could be really interesting.
Dyer's pick.
Yeah,
to see how teams want to set the matchups.
Definitely with that OD ban coming out first, who is above and beyond the most dominant mid laner in the current pool. And we'll see what Team Prime is going to go in with up here. Venomancer first pick.
Radiant's pick.
That OD ban was extremely smart, I think. Because every person you could send mid lane really needs that extra mana. Phantom Lancer might be a risky pick because Gyrocopter's in the pool.
Yeah, the first pick...
who easily deals.
Yeah, the first pick PO with the Gyro still in. One thing also I want to call attention to is it's a little interesting that Prime banned out the OD when they had first pick, so they would have had the opportunity to grab that for themselves if they wanted, but it looks like they just didn't want the game to have such a dominant presence as OD in it at all.
Yeah, I think that could have been it. I think it also could have been the fact that they banned the OD while there were really good BKB builders in the pool. And OD does get really countered by that Lifestealer Sven from the hard farming position, in my opinion. Elder Titan's a very interesting pick. We might see him mid, we might see him off lane. Both are pretty popular as he's a very strong hero with a really good mid-game presence with his ultimate, which would also function extremely well against Phantom Lancer.
And there's that Gyrocopter coming out as the counter to PL. I'm curious where they're going to wind up laning this Titan. The pro scene, like you said, kind of run it all over. Most teams seem to be running it as an off-lane hero, but you still see Liquid running it in mid with Bulba. Now two more picks, the Timbersaw and the Zeus.
Yeah, so Zeus is probably going to go mid lane, which means Elder Titan, I'm not really sure about that matchup. I feel like Elder Titan would have a better shot there than a lot of other heroes because Astral Spirit has such a large range.
10 seconds to go.
So they might be looking to set that up.
5 seconds.
And now we see the
Slardar's another. Yeah, that's a really interesting pick with Gyrocopter.
So
usually both of those heroes are hard carries.
I'm wondering if this is going to come out as an aggro tri-lane with the Slardar and a solo safe lane Gyro then.
Oh, that was definitely my first thought. Gyrocopter also matches up okay against Timbersaw. Certainly much better than Slardar or, say, Elder Titan. Strength heroes are extremely weak against Whirling Death.
Yeah, my only reservation about that aggro tri is that Witch Doctor is not traditionally known as a big aggro tri support, but we can see looking at the heroes left in the pool, there's not a whole lot of those left in, so that's probably a relic of our hero pool rather than Influenza's intentions going into this draft.
Maybe. I think Undying is an extremely strong pick in a tri-lane situation, which is why I'm hesitant to say it's going to be a tri-lane for sure. Witch Doctor's a much more... I think he has like a reliable stun and a heal, so he can provide sustain for an off laner, which is my which is another thing that I think could happen in that offlane.
And a Necrolite last pick, so I'm really wondering about the roles here for Planet Hype. I'm wondering if this is a support, I guess Necrophos, not Necrolite. I wonder if this is a support Necrophos, just because I don't see a lane for him otherwise. It has to be said for...
Hello?
Hey, Vic, you still there? You with me?
Yeah, I'm a bit. I think you're right. I think it will be a support Necrophos. But I don't think the hero functions well in that role.
Yeah, I myself am not at
in
all
general.
a fan of the support Necro, and if you look at his role in the pro meta at least, he's almost exclusively run as an early mid-game carry.
Yeah, he definitely needs, I think, one or two items to function well. Otherwise, he's just too squishy. You see he starts with 450 health. It's basically the lowest on his team.
Alright, let's go ahead and run through the lineups real quick before we get going. Vic, do you want to start with the Dire side, Team Prime?
Yes, so for Team Prime, it looks like we're going to be having Captain Edgar going with the safe lane Slardar, Influenza, the team captain, going mid with Gyrocopter. In the off lane, as we guessed, we have Burning Taters, or Burnin' Taters, sorry they're taters. And our support combos me Casual Racism on the Venomancer, and I don't even know what that name is, sorry.
Sado Kaichu is my guess on the pronunciation, but that's really just a guess.
Sado Kaicho. Something like that.
Alright, going real quick over to the Radiant, where they look to be setting up for dual lines. We've got Samurai Salmon on the support Necrophos, Rabbit on the Timbersaw, Emery taking that Zeus to the mid lane, Infinity taking a PO to the safe lane, babysat by 1314, the team captain on the Rubik.
Illusion Rune spawns bottom. I think the Dire team knows it's there, but they don't have anybody who can get it, so that will probably sit there for a while, unless Rubik somehow figures out that it's there. If we look to mid, we have Zeus versus Gyrocopter. I don't think that's a good match for the Gyrocopters. That Arc Lightning is going to jump farther than his attack range.
Yeah, that Gyro is probably going to eat a lot of harass. Going over to top lane, where we can see the Dire is dealing with this defensive the Radiant is dealing with this defensive tri-lane out of Dire, and already we've got a Venomous Gale onto the Timbersaw. Does Dire have enough follow-up? Oh, the Crush interrupts the Timber Chain, and this might be our first blood here, and it is! Rabbit goes down, first blood goes to Casual Racism on the Venomancer.
Oh wow, I think that was a late Death Pulse. I don't know about you, but on my screen it looked like that Death Pulse came out a full second after it should have, and out of range for the heal.
I think he might have been spamming the button because he'd already cast one, so I think he was limited by his cooldown there, because it's 8 seconds at level 1.
Yeah, I had him selected, and it looked like it came off cooldown a lot earlier. So I think this is a really good concept from the Radiant team, but they need to be able to execute the Death Pulse. That's the only way that they're going to be able to sustain in the lane. And I think that's actually the purpose of the lane. That's why they have the support Necrophos.
Yeah, I'd guess that. I do like the support Necro a little bit better given the dual lanes. Running him as a support in a tri-lane just produces a seriously under-leveled hero. But so far, not really going their way for Planet Hype.
I really like the way that Radiant decided to lane this. What you see is they dodged a tri-lane against Elder Titan, who gets better with more people, and then they gave the Timbersaw some support just in case it was a tri-lane because of the recent change to his Timber Chain, which is that he can get stunned out of it. The Necrophos will give a little bit of burst heal, which is probably just enough to, you know, throw out another chain, which is pretty spell for those clutch escapes.
Alright, we're getting a little bit of connection issues with you, Vic, but I totally agree with giving some support to the Timbersaw. Venomancer in particular is one of the most annoying heroes for a Timber to lane against, because it makes it so hard for Timber to stay safe with the slows that Venomancer can take out, and with the magic damage from Poison Sting that reactive armor doesn't really help with.
That's true. Although in this case, I think Witch Doctor is going to be extremely useful. As you see for the Dire offlane, or no, the Radiant offlane, sorry, they are not able to make any distance happen between the two heroes. And they don't want to, because then Death Pulse won't be as functional.
Yeah, the Paralyzing Cask is a counter to that Death Pulse. Really is working out well so far. It's making positioning very tricky for Samurai Salmon and Rabbit. Let's turn our attention to the mid lane for a second. We haven't actually spent any time there, and check in on how Emery and Influenza are doing.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable that this Gyrocopter has been able to keep up in last hits, just given the way the heroes work. But there was an engagement bottom. I don't know if you caught that. Rubik and Elder Titan both going to around 80 health. It's pretty close, but no kills yet.
And let's go up towards top river. We've got Seto Kaichu and Casual Racism smoking up and heading over towards mid. I don't see a Radiant Observer Ward here, but there is one on the lane, and Emery is playing very safe. He clearly suspects something.
This is extremely good play from this Zeus. And I think the Dire is actually making a really good decision here, because Zeus just mechanically, with Arc Lightning, can do a lot more work than Gyrocopter mid.
Alright, the smoke is worn off. Witch Doctor grabbed a haste rune, but it looks like those supports are not gonna go. They're splitting up and heading back over to top. Keep supporting Captain Edgar on that Slardar, who, despite that first blood earlier, we can see Captain Edgar's not really getting great CS. 8-2 against the Timbersaws 9-3, so he's not really getting the farm you want from a tri-lane Slardar in this situation.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting build coming out from Rabbit. Usually you see an early Whirling Death when you can make this melee strength hero come close to you for last hits, but I don't think he's had that option. It's pretty defensive. Although he does get a point in Whirling Death now.
I think I was clicked over to him right as he leveled it. I think he just took it at level 4, which he hit just a moment ago.
Yeah, it looks like he was prioritizing escaping from that Witch Doctor stun, which is extremely potent.
I want to mine the top tower.
We can see over here on bottom lane, Burnin' Taters isn't doing too bad for himself either. He's at 8-1 against Infinity on the PL with 28-6. So if there's one real winner in this laning phase so far, it's Infinity's PL.
Yeah, definitely. Although I would say that this Gyrocopter is doing extremely well for the matchup he's been given. In my opinion, even CS with 5 denies against the Zeus is just really, really good.
Yeah, I might spend a little bit more time on this mid lane. Influence is going for an interesting build, maxing the flat cannon even before the rocket barrage. So I wonder if that's how he's getting this CS, is using flat cannon to force Gyro off the lane a little bit.
I don't even... he still has to be able to get close enough to hit that one, the first creep. So I don't think that gives you enough range to outlane a Zeus. He must have just played his cards right, and he's going bottom for a gank right now.
Yeah, Invis Rune up on Influenza, and Radiant did not have a ward in place to see it. 1-3, 1-4, and Infinity both real close to the lane, and this might be another kill. Oh, and out comes the call down. Oh, and Rubik is just popped instantly by that call down rocket barrage. Here we can really see the amount of damage, even with just 2 points up in that rocket barrage. The amount of early game damage that Gyro can dish out is immense.
Exactly. That's why I think he's the big winner of this whole entire laning phase. Zeus usually dominates the mid lane, but that hasn't really shown. He hasn't shown his face yet. We do have some dire pings going out on the Zeus. I don't know if you caught those. I think they want to kill him.
Dire's mid tower won't last much longer.
Yeah, I'm not certain what Dire's really thinking of. Seto Kaichu has been making some aggressive posturing up here on top, trying to intimidate Samurai Salmon and Rabbit a little bit more. But you're right, we might see a rotation heading out. And so far, aside from that one rotation and the smoke gank that didn't happen, pretty quiet laning phase. Most heroes just sticking to their lanes and farming up some creeps.
Yeah, there haven't really been dives, and the one huge aggression bottom just didn't pan out.
Cancel that, go to top where Emery has just TP'd. Captain Edgar gets a great crush off, three-man crush.
Mid towers
It looks like Dyer's going to make it away. But Zeus and Timber continue to chase out. Seto Kaichi goes very, very low with the Thunder God's Wrath coming out. Great Gale comes out from Casual Races and gets two. Another crush from Captain Edgar. And a huge call down from Gyro. This could be terrible for the Dyer. First goes the Zeus. Timber is still floating around. Influenza's chasing down the Necrolite. Timber goes down to the Slardar. And it looks like, yes, Gyro will be able to clean up that Necrolite. 3 kills going the way of Dyer. And while we missed that, it looks like the Outer Titan went down on bottom lane.
Yep, so Kappa and 1314 did the perfect, like the only thing they could do there, which is also the right move. Just kill the Elder Titan and farm up the Phantom Lancer. He has twice as many last hits as anyone else in the game at this point. So we're probably looking at a relatively good time on that Diffusal Blade.
Yeah, he's
Could
definitely
possibly be Radiance.
With the treads already up and the Aquila, I think you're right that this is probably going to be a Diffusal Blade rather than the Radiance. You'd typically rush that Radiance faster if you were going for it, I think.
That's fair. He might also think that he needs to fight faster. Gyrocopter with the Call Down and Elder Titan are both pretty mana dependent heroes. Slardar, interestingly enough, Sprint, which is his bonus speed ability, doesn't cost mana, so he's usually fine on mana until he starts spamming out amplified damages.
We're going to see Influenza picking up a double damage rune on this Gyro and heading up top with Casual Racism. We'll see if Dyer can make a kill happen, but in the backside, Seto Kaichu, Zeus will catch him out in the river, and they'll both just back off. Radiant offlane backs up, so it looks like nothing much will come of this engagement for now, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I want to see some more aggression out of this Zeus. Zeus is such a strong early game hero, and I think it's been a combination of Dyer forcing him to be passive.
Oh, call down comes
combined
out.
with Gyro's laning.
Call down comes out from Influenza. It's whiffed. The Spirit catches Emery, but Dyer's just going to back off, and Zeus gets away by running back to the trees.
Bottom tower.
Yeah, definitely. Those early levels of Echo Stomp on Elder Titan are so underrated.
What's happening to Dyer's bottom tower?
You can see right there, even though you were able to do a good amount of damage, we're talking 150 to 250 with that Spirit, it doesn't mean anything if you can't use it to set up for other abilities, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm curious about Burnentator's build coming out here. I'm actually not certain what pros favor for their offlane Outer Titan. I know the mid Outer Titan 0440 is kind of the standard, and here we see a 0341, so he does have a point up in that Earth Splitter, but you're absolutely right, no points in the Echo Stomp, which might have been what they would have needed to kill Emery there a minute ago.
Yeah, usually for Elder Titan, the 4th value point in natural order is not worth it. You definitely want to max Astral Spirit first, because those points scale a lot better. You get a lot more bonus damage and bonus speed, just for hitting more units. Oh, great gank. Great fight.
Oh, I just caught the tail end of it, didn't even see him go down, but I saw the Thunder God's Wrath going out, and that is a very dead Outer Titan.
Yeah, we have some pretty high damage nukes coming out from the Radiant team bottom. So 150 from Rubik, plus another 250 from Phantom Lancer. I mean, that's... a single hero isn't going to be able to do anything to them.
And it looks this PL is up to 2400 gold, so he might still be going for that Radiance over the Diffusal Blade. 700 more to go if you don't see Diffusal.
If you don't see Blades of Alacrity, I think it's a sure sign that he's either really paranoid and doesn't want to show them he's building a Diffusal, or that he's building a Radiance. And I think it's the latter.
Meanwhile, going over to mid, it looks like Invisible Emery and 1314 are going to catch out Influenza. They get the telekinesis, they get the zap, call down comes down, rocket barrage doing huge damage to Emery, and Influenza turns it around for a counter kill, and will he get two? 1314 is very low, sneaking away through the trees. Oh, and gets it with the rocket barrage.
Mid-tower's coming apart.
Oh my god, beautiful play coming out from this gyrocopter. He should probably switch his treads right now to strength. But that was brilliant from him. And not too smart from this Elder Titan as a strength hero walking up into the TPs. And we'll see if he's able to get away here. Yeah, it looks like neither one can kill the other.
Yeah, it looks like Taters just barely gets away, and that gyro, when he came over the cliff down here, he was at 5 hit points after getting those 2 kills.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm surprised he didn't switch his treads.
Going up top, we've got Emery moving top. The Thunder God's Wrath gets disrupted by the paralyzing cask, and it hits all 3 of them, and Dire will safely make it away.
Yeah, like I was saying, this Witch Doctor is a really good pick because this whole entire game, Radiant team has not been able to spread out in this top lane. It's just been a cluster.
Alright, taking a look. Well, we might have a breather for a second, seeing if we have any interesting items coming out. I can see a headdress on Samurai Salmon, so he's probably building up into that mech. Wait, but hold that as Radiant wraps around on Dire on top lane, and another great cast comes out, disrupts the initiation from Emery, and gives time for 2 more Dire TPs to come in, Influenza and Casual Racism, so we might have a full 4-on-4 teamfight going on up here at the Dire Tier 1.
Looks like a 5-on-4 to me. The Elder Titan on the backside.
Calldown comes down to open up the fight, but the whole Radiant dodges it. Cass comes out, slows things down. Great telekinesis on the Slardar. Great Chakram and Thunder God's Wrath blowing up the Slardar and the Gyro.
2 down.
And the Necrolite ult comes out to help clean up the Witch Doctor. Meanwhile, Titan is limping away. Rubik and Timbersaw are chasing down this Venomancer, and it looks like Radiant's going to satisfy themselves with those 4 kills, or are they? Emery is still creeping around the side. He's got the amplified damage just wore off, so they know he's there. Oh, and he cleans up the Elder Titan with a Thunderbolt, and Casual Racism hiding in the trees, where Emery will try to chase him out. He doesn't have a TP, so I don't think he's making it away from this one.
No, but he does have those Tranquil Boots, which does give him a really, really fast regen.
Oh, and look,
so
Emery...
he's already up to 500.
Emery didn't find Venomancer in the trees and floated around a little bit more, and wisely TP's out as the Witch Doctor comes in for TP support on that Venomancer.
You know the drill.
Yeah, what we noticed in that fight is the power of Radiant Team's Sustain. With Zeus's static field combined with Necrolite's abilities, the longer the fight goes on, the better it's going to go for this Radiant team. And Phantom Lancer only adds to that with his Army of Illusions, which we didn't even see in the last fight.
Yeah, and we can see now Phantom Lancer's at 3,700 gold, so it looks like this is almost certainly going to be a Radiance coming out for him.
Yeah, and if he can get that on time, I would say around the 20 to 22 minute mark, that's going to be doing a lot of damage. If you check the health of the Dire Team heroes, not all of them are tanky enough to just survive being around those illusions if they're microed well.
Yeah, definitely Gyro until he gets into the late game with all of his items up is very squishy, and Witch Doctor and Venomancer too are very low health supports, and will have a lot of trouble dealing with that Radiance burn.
Yeah, they're sitting on 700 health. That is not much.
Oh, and we have another engagement in mid. Great lift, and the Thunder God's Wrath and Thunderbolt comes out. Massive burst damage. Reaper Scythe holds down Burn and Taters for a minute, and he gets cleaned up with another Thunderbolt. Gale comes in, but Casual Racism doesn't have any support, so I'm surprised he's even willing to go for this.
Oh, great steal from the Rubik. Great play from the Timbersaw. And yeah, we definitely see Zeus making the kind of influence that I wanted to see. He's my favorite mid-hero, so I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, he's not very popular in the pro scene typically because his lack of an escape can be really crippling, but as we can see in this game, when he hits his stride, he deals an incredible amount of burst damage.
Yeah, I think it's the lack of escape as well as the fact that BKB can neutralize 100% of your abilities makes him a really hard to justify pick.
And in that sense, I like him a lot
Especially-
better against this Radiant lineup. Wait, but hold that thought as we've got an engagement going down mid, potentially. No, just a cask bouncing around while the teams wait to group up
Dire's
as
got
PO
one
takes
last
the
top
Dire
tower.
top tier 1.
Yeah, and before the game, Kappa, who's on the Phantom Lancer, was talking about his yellow plays, but he's been taking it pretty safe, and he's been rewarded strongly for that. His farming ability is really good, and his ability to find space on the map that his team is creating has been excellent this game.
So Kodan comes down in mid, Witch doesn't hit anybody but zones them out from the tower. While Dire goes, oh, and big Thunder God's Wrath comes out, another big Thunderbolt. Let's see, Rubik's stolen Kodan here, and it comes down, the back of Kodan on Burden Taker and Casual Racism, but Sado Kaichu over on the side gets some good damage done with the Death Ward. That winds up as a 4 for 1.
Nobody takes me.
Yeah, I mean, despite a really good Witch Doctor ult, that is
Behind the top tower.
nearly 100% of their sustain in those team fights until you see giant items on the gyrocopter. So these long, drawn-out fights where a hero doesn't get instantly bursted down by 3 or 4 abilities and heroes are really gonna give the advantage to the Radiant team.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Meanwhile, we
ain't
can
pretty
see over
sight
on
right
top
now.
lane, Infinity just kept doing damage to that tower and it's actually in deny range, so I'm wondering if Captain Edgar is going to try to get
Trouble
that
brewing
deny
at Radiant's bottom
before that
tower.
catapult
Catapult's
takes
gonna
down.
kill it.
Yeah, I don't think... There we go, there's the deny coming out.
Okay.
Dire disown that top tower.
I wasn't sure if he could walk there fast enough. This is really great timing on the Radiance from the Phantom Lancer before the 20-minute mark even. This is going to be devastating for the next fight.
Yeah, 19 minutes is quite good for a Radiance, but really impressive when you look at the fact that he already went for a Ring of Aquila and Treads first, and that makes that a very good timing on the Radiance, given how many other items he built up in the meantime.
Yeah, I think that's true. Although the Tread's attack speed and movement
Radiant's
speed,
mid
combined
tower
with
is
Aquila's
Radiant's mid
buffs
tower
to your
is
illusions,
1-4.
make it a lot easier to farm faster. So I don't think those slowed him down all that much.
We can already
You know, it's the
see
reason you see.
Infinity's getting to work using those illusions to farm up the jungle, burning down creep camps.
Yeah, right now Dire have really good vision of him. Let's see if they can do anything here.
Radiant's top tower's hurting.
Yeah, I don't see, are there any smokes on any Dire heroes? There's an Invis ward up on the Witch Doctor, but they don't have any smokes, so it looks like if they want to fight, they're just going to have to engage, and we might be gearing up for a big fight here in mid. A lift on the gyrocopter, and out, instant burst damage. Zeus knocks everything down, Call Down comes in, cleaning up the Witch Doctor, whose Death Ward doesn't really do a whole lot, and the Earth Splitter we can see at the end of the fight didn't have enough coming in front of it for it to really do its job. That fight was just
Definitely.
something else for the Radiant. Dire didn't have any chance to respond.
I don't think Dire has the amount of burst damage they need to actually finish the kills in these fights.
Oh, and a nice amp damage from Edgar out on Infinity over on top. And is he going to get the PL before the
How
burn
about
damage?
that?
No! Edgar, Infinity
That's
makes
the,
it away with 20 hit points.
What did you have?
Yeah, that was the Aquila power treads and the extra 40 last hits coming into effect there.
Oh, and over in mid we see the Elder Titan gets torn down with a stolen Death Ward on the Rubik. This Rubik is getting some great steals off this game.
Yeah, and, if we have a quiet minute, I'd like to direct attention to the graph. The gold graph showing really just the mid-game fighting coming out from the Radiant team. I think it's really that Zeus hitting his stride that
Here's
really,
what's
really
happening to
helps
Dire's
them
bottom tower.
get the 22-minute mark.
Yeah, we can look at that 7,500 gold lead and huge, looks like about a 13,000 XP lead for the Radiants. This is looking very bad for the Dire. As that PL just keeps getting bigger and bigger with his team forcing towers, forcing fights without him as he just farms. Oh, and the call down comes down from Gyrocopter. Great call down, catches 3 heroes. Venomous Gale catches 2.
How about that?
But the burst damage from the Zeus and the Venomancer ulti only catches 2. Slardar doing cleanup on the backside. Death Ward cleaning up the Rubik. Timbersaw survives. Earthsplitter comes out, doesn't do enough, and here come the PL Illusions burning down the Witch Doctor. Doesn't look like they'll get the Outer Titan, and that, what started with a great initiation from Dire, turns into a 2 for 4 for the Radiant's favor.
Dire's mid tower won't last much longer.
Yep, and we saw a brilliant Witch Doctor ulti. It lasted its whole entire duration, killed off 2 heroes, and it still wasn't enough. I think they got almost everything they wanted in that fight, and Dire still wasn't able to make it work. This bodes extremely badly for them.
Dire's mid tower could
Yeah,
use
they
a
don't
little
really
help.
have an answer to this PO. Gyro's been sitting on a Claymore for a very, very long time now. Looks like he was trying to build up into a Shadow Blade, but he just doesn't have enough. We can see Slardar's got a BKB, but I don't think that's enough item to turn around these team fights.
It's really, I don't think it's even just the items. I think the fights really, if you look at the hero levels, you see that the top 6 are Radiant. They just have so much more experience, and the Zeus and the Phantom Lancer are so far ahead.
Going over to bottom, I don't know if you caught that. The Slardar attempted to initiate on the Phantom Lancer and just got blown up by the Radiant. Nice Gale comes out from Venom, but doesn't catch anybody. PL's very low, but I think we're going to see this Venomancer go down just to the illusions in the Thunder God's Wrath.
Somebody's on a roll.
Outer Titan goes down to more Zeus damage, Witch Doctor gets lifted, and that's a team wipe on the... And I wouldn't be surprised if Dire taps out soon. They are very far behind in this game.
Dire's bottom tower's getting the business.
Yeah, I agree, and even these little things are just going their way. This Phantom Lancer survived on, you know, double-digit health, and it's just too much to deal with at this point. They were kind of...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, they were kind of, I think just like out-drafted come mid-game is really how this went down.
Yeah, Radiant really, they had this build with the early burst damage from the Timbersaw and the Zeus designed to get them through the early game period before Phantom Lancer really came online. And stop, hold that thought while we have the fight going on. Venomancer ult, Cardon breaks out. Good Rocket Barrage doing a lot of damage to the Zeus. Gyro gets held tight by the Reaper Scythe. Rubik steals Rocket Barrage, does a lot of damage. Outer Titan goes down. Radiant's Burn is killing off the Venomancer and the Gyro, and there's a 4 for nothing in favor of Planet Hype.
And it wasn't just, 4 for 1. The Slardar gets the Timbersaw.
Dire's bottom tower's getting the business.
And will Slardar make it away? That Death Pulse does a lot of damage. We'll see if he can run enough circles in Fountain to survive it. Oh, a nice null Fade Bolt coming out, and there goes the Slardar too.
The Dire gave
Yeah, and I don't think you can dodge. Was that the Necrolite Death Pulse we saw there? Oh, and Dire Team taps out.
And I'm not surprised. They really are just far too far behind. The XP lead is over 20,000 at this point. Gold lead over 15,000 by 25 minutes.
Yeah, so to wrap up, I think what we saw in that game was Radiant Team and Dire Team both making pretty smart laning decisions. Dire Team was able to actually win that laning phase, in my opinion, and get a lot more for their heroes. But once the levels came out on the Radiant Team, the Dire Team wasn't able to keep up as far as burst damage in those fights, which is what they needed against the Zeus, Timbersaw, and Necrolite, who are all heroes that like to stand around in a fight and just be alive and spam abilities.
Yeah, we said at the beginning that neither of us are very big fans of the support Necrophos, but he did his job, gave them the sustain to let Timbersaw and Zeus keep throwing out that damage, and Radiant really just steamrolled those early team fights and forced that into a victory. So very nicely done for Planet Hype on the Radiant. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and get out of game here. We're going to go back to the lobby and see how we're doing on getting the next game going, guys. I'm going to keep the stream running, and I hope you join us for Game 2 of Dota Battles Week 2 Prime versus Planet Hype.